Hello everyone, in this video we're gonna dive into key levels. Key levels are what are gonna guide you from your high time frame to your lower time frame. So that's very important that you understand them. So let's get started. Key levels are simply my way of seeing the PI. But when we talk about PI, you probably know a lot about them. But when we talk about PIs, your first thought will be about, let's say, an order block and just an area, right? That you have your entry and your stop loss below. When we talk about key levels, it nothing has to do with our entry method, with our entry approach. Key levels are basically levels, are just levels we're gonna use to get reaction and look for specific confirmation. This has nothing to do with your POI by itself. So basically your way of placing your entry above your PI and your stop loss just below, right? In the future, we're gonna see how to tie them up key levels to actual entry models that we're gonna use to place your trade. But now we have to just understand what key levels are and how we can be able to spot them when we move into the chart. And that's very important to make this clear. So let's first get started with the order block. So we have a block right here. And we have in this scenario a bullish order block. Now, to me, a bullish order block, it has nothing to do from the candle itself of the order block. It's not something about the color of the candle. It doesn't matter if it's a bearish or a bullish candle. Because let's say you have a bearish candle right here and you are onto the 15-minute right here. If you move 2 to 3 time frames below or above, you're gonna see the same exact candle in the same exact shape changing color. So in this case, from a bearish candle becoming a bullish candle right here. So that's why it's not important the color itself about the candle, but it's the main logic and the main context that is stated behind, right? So you know how to mark an order block where you go to the chart. Now, the way we're gonna mark up an order block, we're gonna be focused on 3 levels right here. So we're gonna use the open of the order block, we're gonna use the body, and we're gonna use the unmitigated wick. Remember to mark up the wick when it starts. So right here, you cannot mark up the wick from this point right here. That's very important. So these are gonna be the 3 levels we're gonna be focused on, right? We're not marking them up all of them 3 when you're gonna move to the chart because we don't like to guess. We're gonna select them regardless on where liquidity is at and on which type of range we're inside. For now, remember, it's just important that you don't know which level you can use when you came across an order block, right? So now we have the bullish example, and right here we have the bearish example. Again, the color of the order block by itself, it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is the context is placed inside. So in this case, which level we can use? We can use the open of the order block, the body, and also the unmitigated wick. These are the levels that we can use for the price. So then we have the breaker block. So let's say now this order block fails into his context. So let's say price, instead of respecting this area, dropped, right? If you have a breaker block, in this case, an order block that failed to hold, because we were expecting price to come and react, but in this case, it failed, it becomes a breaker block, right? So which level we can use? We can use, in this case, the same exact levels but switched. So in this case, we can use the open of the breakable block, we can use the body, and we can use the wick right here. So these are going to be the level we're going to be focused on. Same things for the bearish breaker block. So in this case, price, we were expecting price to drop, but in this case, it moved up. So which level we can expect price to react from? We can expect price reacting from the open of the breaker block, the body, and the wick. Right. Keep that in mind that this will be the way we're going to identify levels when we came across these PIs. So now that we covered the order block and the breaker block, let's move into the imbalance fill. So we need to have 3 candles. And we need a gap between the first one and the third one. So we need to have something like this, a gap. When it comes to the imbalance fill, we only care about the imbalance being filled. You cannot mark up the body. We only care about the imbalance to get filled. That's very important. But what can happen if you have an order block and also an imbalance fill at the same exact time? Because remember, the market is fractal. So let's say you have an order block right here. You have your bearish push, and you have another candle right here. In this case, the order block is also an imbalance fill. So now you should treat this as an imbalance fill, pause, or as an order block. Well, if it's an imbalance fill, you only care about the imbalance being filled. But if it's in an order block, what will be your first level that you're gonna take? The open of the order block. Same exact level. That's confluence. That's why the strategy is very systematical and objective, because it doesn't matter your POI by itself. It doesn't matter if you see this as an order block. It doesn't matter if you see this an imbalance. You will take the same exact level. That's why it's very objective. But since you have to know that this is not only an imbalance field, and that's also an order block, you have to consider by marking up these levels. Because remember, that's also an order block. So you can mark up your body and your unmitigated wick, even if it's an imbalance field. Now remember, not every imbalance field is going to be an order block, but most of the imbalance field are going to be also order block. So it's normal if you came across these scenarios inside the market, they are completely normal. Now you know also how to approach them. But obviously, if it's just only an imbalance field and is not an order block, you cannot take the body, right? So now we have the hidden base. So we simply need 2 candles exactly like this. Right. We're gonna mark it up from the open, and that will be our first price level. Then we can also use the unmitigated wick below. When it comes to the hidden base, we can use those 2 levels. But again, let's put a little step further between fractals. Let's say if this is an order block. So let's say we have our bullish push right here. We have also another candle right here. Now you have 3 POIs in just one price level, because the first one you're gonna see is the order block right here. So you're gonna take the open or the order block. Then you have the imbalance fill because you have 1, 2, and 3. So you have a gap. Which level you're gonna take? The fill of the imbalance. So again, same exact price level. But now you also have a hidden base. So which level you're gonna take? The same exact one. That's confluence. It doesn't matter which PI you saw. You're gonna take the same exact price level. In other words, the same exact key level. You're gonna see how simple an objective is already, right? You can't mess up because at the end of the day, it's just a level. It's just a line that is meant to guide you. You don't know already how these levels are gonna guide you, but I'm gonna show you in the next video. The main purpose of this video, as I explained, is just to get familiar with and know how to mark them up. We're gonna move to the chart. So now that we cover the imbalance field, we can move on the last PI. The last PI is going to be a wick. So basically, every unmitigated wick you see into the chart is a PI by itself. So let's say you came across a big block, let's say a rejection block in this case, with a long wick. It doesn't matter if the wick is long or small, right? And you can take where the wick begins, right? Again, if it's an order block, if it's an imbalance fill, you can take them because there is a wick, so the wick is a POI. That's not the way we're gonna select them because you're gonna end up to the chart by marking up every single point of interest, every single key levels. So I'm gonna show you exactly how to mark them up because we're gonna have rules to the course and we're gonna tie them up all together. So basically the unmitigated wick is every single wick you're gonna see to the chart. Now just get familiar with, just go to the chart and just try to mark them up, right? Because remember, during the course, even if it's a simple course, you need to put the work in. So you'll have to train and go to the chart and seeing the concept by yourself. So what I do recommend you for learning the strategy faster is just after every single lesson, just go to the chart and try to apply what you have learned. And rewatch the video a couple of times to make sure that the concept clicks into your mind. So that's all for the key levels. In the next videos, I'm gonna show you why they're so important and how we can use them to get our bias, our entry, and basically everything. This one is going to be the fundamental of the way I trade. So make sure to rewatch a couple of times and put the training. So that's all for this video. See you until the next one.